Hello, everybody, and welcome to Where Are They Now in Sports? Today's guest is a former NBA basketball player that had an unbelievable career, especially with the New York Knicks. When he played, he was charismatic. He put his heart and soul on the court, and most of all, he did everything he can to get a victory for his team. Please welcome former NBA All-Star John Starks. What's going on, my man?
How you doing?
All right.
I'm good.
John, you had an unbelievable career. But before we talk about what you're doing now, let's reverse the clock a little bit. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And who introduced you to the game of basketball?
Actually, my older brothers, them. One day I was watching them play basketball over friends of our house that lived next door. And I was watching them, play. And then after they got through playing, they decided to, dunk the basketball. And so the way they was doing it is that they would put a big oil barrel in front of the basketball goal. And so what I would do while I was watching them, they would run and jump and hit the oil barrel and fly through the air and dunk the basketball. And I said, that looked pretty cool. I asked them, could I do it? And, what your older brothers them say, no. So, I just kind of waited patiently and wait till they left. Then I went over there and picked up the basketball and I did what I saw them doing. And I hit the oil barrel and I was flying through there. I dunked the basketball and I was hooked on basketball forever.
When you got to Oklahoma State, you only played there 1 year. Who gave you an opportunity there?
Coach by the name of Leonard Hamilton, who's now the coach at Florida State. And so I only had like a 1 year eligibility left when Division I schools was recruiting me out of my last stop was Oklahoma Junior College. And so most Division I schools don't want to take a chance on players who only have 1 year of eligibility. But my skill level got to a point where Coach Hamilton saw something in me, and he came and sat down in my living room and told me that he was assistant coach at Kentucky, and so he said that I coached many pros, and I think you're just as good as any one of them, and you got the ability to go to the next level. And so he liked what he saw, and plus this was his second year at Oklahoma State, so he was looking for players, and he gave me that opportunity, that one shot.
When you were focusing that at Oklahoma State as far as your grades, you also had a job. What was the job you were doing during that time?
Well, I go back, and most people think that I was bagging groceries while I was at Oklahoma State, but that wasn't true. It was in between my last stop at junior college, my second junior college. I got kicked out of school, and so I had to go home and face my mother and my grandmother to let them know that I got kicked out of school. And my mother didn't say anything. She just told me that you had to get out and get a job. And so that's when I started bagging groceries. Then I was very fortunate enough that during that time I was working out real hard with my older brother Vincent, and felt like that I needed to get back in school, because I didn't want to bag groceries for the rest of my life. And my brother, he pushed me to get back in school, so I decided to go back to school, and I went back to Tulsa Junior College. I enrolled in there just to, go to school and get my grades. I really wasn't even thinking about basketball at the time, and I started playing intramural basketball and was averaging about 45, 50 points a game. And a coach by the name of Ken Trickey, was looking for players in this startup program called Oklahoma Junior College, and he liked what he saw, and so he gave me an opportunity to come in and be a part of the team that year, and I became a JC All-American that year.
Did you expect to get drafted in the NBA that year?
I wasn't expecting to get drafted. Actually, after that season, I was getting ready to go to a NAIA school and finish up my last year of eligibility, because I couldn't obviously finish up at Division I school, and I was getting ready to go down to Grand Canyon University, which was coached by Paul Westphal at the time, and they just coming off a national NAIA championship, and I was getting ready to enroll in there, and so happened that Paul Westphal took the assistant coaching job at Phoenix, and so I wasn't gonna go there. So uh, Larry Brown, who was the coach at Kansas at the time, and they had just won the national championship that year, beating Oklahoma, and him and Coach Self, who's now the coach at Kansas. Coach Self was my assistant coach, and Larry Brown told Coach Self that if he was going to take a head coaching job, that he would put me at a school and take me in the next year's draft. He liked what he saw in me playing against them during that year. It was so happened that he took the San Antonio job that summer. And so I called him on it. I told Coach Self, give him a call and tell him I'm coming out this year. And he said to me that he couldn't take me in the draft because they had already had their pick lined up, and which was Vernon Maxwell at the time. And so he said, but I can come in and try out for the team.
You tried out. It didn't work out in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a great, rookie free agent camp, and I had a lot of teams interested in me. Indiana, for one, was very interested in me, and Golden State was interested in me. And it was just so happened that I was asking San Antonio for some guaranteed money. I had a wife and a child at the time, my oldest, my son.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 23.
Okay.
And so I was looking for guaranteed money from San Antonio. I thought I played well enough to at least get, some guaranteed money, but they wasn't offering any guaranteed money. And Golden State jumped in the picture, and they offered me some guaranteed money to come into camp. So, I took that offer, and, hindsight, I probably wish I would have stayed with San Antonio. Yeah.
After Golden State, tell me what happened after that.
While I was playing in the pro league down in Dallas, I ended up twisting my ankle and turning it up pretty bad, and so I couldn't go to any preseason training camp, and so my ankle didn't get well until after the preseason training camp. So all the teams had a roster. Only thing I was left with was the CBA, and I went down to Cedar Rapids and played down there for a year. And it's funny because while I was down there, I became an All-Star, CBA All-Star, and was getting ready to get called up and by Detroit Pistons during their championship year, and end up accidentally bumping the referee and get kicked out the league. And so they decided not to call me up.
Now the New York Knicks call you.
Mm-hmm.
How long is, when it comes to trying out for them, right? Is it called training camp?
Yeah, training camp.
Training camp. How many days does it take to actually make the roster?
Well, you have all of October. That's
okay.
when training camp pretty much starts. Then you have the preseason, which starts, I think, like the first week of October all the way into the end of October.
So you witness players getting cut while you're still surviving.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you see guys after 3 days, all right, see you, we don't need
you. Yeah. You see that, and you're just hoping that your number is not called. And so.
Okay, comes to that last day.
Yeah.
You got the big man, number 33, Patrick Ewing. Mm-hmm. What'd you try to do to him?
Well, the last day, I had a pretty good preseason, and I wasn't sure that I was going to, make the team or not. People keep telling me, "Hey, you're going to be on the team," but you never know. And so, in the last day, I wanted to come in and really impress the coaches and stuff like that. So, I decided on the fast break, go dunk on Patrick, which looking back, it probably wasn't the smartest move, but at that time, I knew that I needed to impress the coaches, and so I went up to go dunk on him, and forgot that he was 7 foot and could jump, and so he ended up catching my dunk, and I came down and twisted my knee, and I thought I had tore it up. He thought he had tore my knee up too, and he felt bad, but looking back, I didn't realize that they had to put me on injury reserve, and when they put you on injury reserve, they couldn't cut you. So it gave me an opportunity to stick around with the team. My first game was against Chicago Bulls, actually.
Okay, so now Tell me the experience. You got Michael Jordan. You got to guard Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
right? Does he talk a lot on court?
No, he don't talk unless you talk to him, and you don't want to do that.
But when he sees a rookie,
yeah, when he was talking. He was talking at the time.
What'd he tell you? What'd he say?
Well, he told me before the night over, you're gonna be calling me Mr. Jordan. you know. And so, but this is something that I was prepared for, mentally prepared to play against him, because in college, I used to have my wife when we was on the road. If I couldn't tape the game, I used to have her tapes all Chicago Bulls games, and so I would watch him when I come home. And so I used to study him all the time, and so when I got the opportunity to play against him, I had already played against him in my mind and studied his moves and stuff like that. And so I played very well that first game against him. And at the end of the game, I went up to him. I said, he said, I said, you didn't get Mr. Jordan out of me tonight.
How hard is it as a guard to guard him? Is he that quick? What do you look for when a guy like Michael Jordan? I mean, he has 1,000 moves. How do you stay with that guy?
Well, first and foremost, all I did is try to deny him the ball and play him as hard and physical as possible. You know, he outweighed me probably about 15, 20 pounds, and he was a lot taller than I was, 4 inches taller than I was. He was 6'6", I was only 6'2". So I just tried to catch his first move, and I know he was going to go to his second move. And like I say, I normally catch that, but that third move is vicious.
Who talks more smack, Reggie Miller or Michael Jordan on the court?
Reggie.
Reggie,
yeah,
without a
by
doubt.
far, yeah. Reggie, yeah. Yeah, Reggie, he was a hell of a player. I got to give Reggie his due. He was a hell of a player. But he liked to, talk it up a little bit.
Now, what did they say? Give me examples. Like, you can't hang on me. What is it? Talk to me. Like, what kind of stuff do they say?
You know what? I don't remember a lot of. Sometimes it was more cuss words than anything. And so, but Reggie was the type of player that he if he didn't respect you, he's going to go at you even more. And so my first couple of years playing him, I don't think he respected me a great deal. And so I had to earn his respect in a sense. And, one way I earned it by that famous play in Indiana, and I think it was game number 3 in the '93 playoffs, where he kept cheap shotting me, hitting me with elbows. And I'm telling the referees he hit me with elbows, and referees like, shut up, John, play basketball, blah, blah, blah. I told him next time he hit me with an elbow, it's going to be on. And they like, just shut up and play basketball, this and that. And so he shot me with an elbow while we were running up the court. And I got the ball offensively, did a spin move, laid it up. Then I ran right beeline towards him, talking noise to him. And he ended up getting a little bit too close. I ended up butting him with my head. And so ended up getting kicked out the game. But after that incident right there, Reggie never said anything to me after that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
We all know Spike Lee's one of the biggest New York Knicks fan ever. Like, he's one of the guys.
Yes.
Can you actually hear him cheering on the sideline?
Yeah, you can hear Spike. Oh, he's loud.
He's loud, right?
Yeah,
I mean, is he loud against opponents too when the ref makes a bad call and he's just screaming at those guys?
Yeah, he is.
Now, what's it like playing for Pat Riley? What does he believe in the most? Practices. How long are the practices?
Coach Riley had some demanding practices. We're looking forward to the games more so than practice, because we would have long, hard-nosed 3-hour practices. And
these are on the off days? Is that how it works? Let's say you have a game Monday, then he'll schedule practice Tuesday? And then you go back to work Wednesday for a game?
Yeah.
Okay.
And those practices would be long, 3 hours, hard.
Mostly defense?
Defense, repetition on offense, making sure that at the end of the games, we go over in the games, plays, making sure that we know where to be at the end of the game. And he just drilled it in us. So it wouldn't be no thinking when you go out there. It's more reaction than anything. And but he was a hell of a coach. I remember when he first got to New York, he brought a class with him, a first-class persona with him. Everything we did was first class, from where we stayed, how we traveled, everything, and we didn't have to want for nothing as players. He just wanted us committed to playing basketball. And I think that's where you have to be. You want your guys just focused on going out there, not worrying about things that can hold you back, from being a basketball player and being focused out there on the court. And so he got the most out of his players.
Let's talk about that dunk. The dunk, baby. The dunk. Okay. It was against Chicago Bulls, obviously. Talk to me about that.
Well,
and let's be specific now. I want the setup. I want the setup.
No, well, that particular play, the dunk, came about is that because I saw B.J. Armstrong cheating on the play during the game. And Coach Riley used to always tell me, you know, you're going to see something some point in the game that you can use at the end of the game. And that particular play, when I came down, Chicago Bulls like to trap you on the baseline. What I mean by that is like they used to send Bill Cartwright or whoever setting the pick down on the baseline, and the guard would get on my top side and push me to the pick. That particular play, when I was coming down, I saw that Bill Cartwright was high, and B.J. Armstrong was locked into me, so he didn't see that he was down there. And so when we got down to on the right-hand side of the court, I did a little hesitation, and Patrick Ewing came over, and soon Patrick Ewing came over, B.J. Armstrong did what I thought he was going to do. He jumped to my high side, but not knowing that Bill Cartwright wasn't down there. And so I kind of peeked early, and he jumped. And I just took off baseline, and all I saw was Horace Grant at the time. And I knew I had to go in strong because Horace Grant's 6'8" by 260. And I just jumped as hard as I could and dunked it with my left hand and spent out and ran hustling back on defense because Chicago like to catch you sleeping, you know, after a play like that. And all my teammates coming up to me, congratulate me and what have you. And all I'm thinking about is, like, we got to finish this game. Right. You know, that just put us up by 4, I believe. And
you know what's interesting about that dunk, too? Even though you dunked on Jordan and Horace Grant, but if Charles Oakley wasn't boxing out John Paxson, I think he'll be up in the air, too. I just thought, I was watching on YouTube the other night, and I'm like, right. Because I saw Paxson come, I noticed the Bulls' defense is strong, too.
Yeah.
So when Paxson came in, you know, I mean, all three of them at the same time, but Oakley was boxing Paxson. If you watch that video, you see that.
Check it out.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
So that was very interesting right there.
People congratulate me and what have you, and so. But
were you shocked when you dunked like that? Did you think like,
no,
because you did it with your left hand? I mean,
yeah,
you're a righty, right?
I jump better going that way.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I jump. Most people think, you know, most right-handers like coming right, but I like coming left. You know, for whatever reason, I just jump better that way, and you know, I didn't realize till after the game and to the next day while I looked in the paper and saw who was in the back end of that picture was Michael Jordan. And I'm like, gotcha.
So, John, you had the first 4 years as a Knick. You had great years. Obviously, we fell short in the 1994 championship game against the Houston Rockets. But then they signed Allan Houston in 1996. And this is where I had even more respect for you and the New York fans. You weren't selfish. You weren't greedy. You didn't ask your agent, give me a trade. You took it like a man. Allan Houston took your spot. They signed him to take your spot, and you accepted the six-man role, which you won the six-man role that year. But you also took him like you were his mentor, right? Let's explain that.
Well, you know, I was very fortunate enough when Orlando Blackman came to the team, and Orlando Blackman, you know, my mindset is that, you know, that's my starting position. Orlando Blackman coming in and get my starting position. And first time I met him, you know, he said, I'm not here to take your position or anything. I'm here to win. You know, I'm here to help you. And that put me at ease, you know what I mean? Because my mindset was I had to come in here and, like, beat Roe out of my position. And so he took me underneath his wing when he first came in there. I'm just kind of like paying it forward.
Your favorite city besides playing in New York? What other gyms did you like, courts like? You know, this is legit.
Well, I love Cleveland. I always shot the ball well in Cleveland for whatever reason. I'm not sure. I guess it's because there wasn't nothing to do in Cleveland, but play basketball. But I always shot the ball well in Cleveland for whatever reason. Portland was another. I always like stadiums that are more feel like it's enclosed, like you're shooting in the gym. New York is like that. Portland was like that. Cleveland was like that. Didn't like Chicago so much because it seemed like it was just so big.
Yeah.
You know, Atlanta, was another arena that I shot well in.
Who else besides Michael Jordan was tough to guard? Like really tough
Mitch
to guard?
Richmond.
Really?
Yeah. He's big. He's a big dude. He can post you up. He can take you off the dribble. He can shoot it from the outside. And plus, me and Mitch came in together when we was at Golden State. So I knew his game. But he's a physical guard.
He was actually a 4th or 5th pick.
Yes.
And you know what? You know what's interesting? I did a stat. I don't know if you know this. In 1988 draft, there were 3 rounds back then. 75 players got drafted. Okay. Now, you have a career over 10,000 points. Out of those 75 players, guess how many guys scored over 10,000 points out of those 75 guys?
I couldn't guess how many.
7.
Get out of here.
Just 7. And now, if you were in the draft, you'd be 8. Here's another one. Out of 75 guys that got drafted, 17 didn't make the NBA.
Get out of here.
So now I'm thinking, where are those scouts? Where are those scouts thinking about you? Now, I don't understand that, So I'm thinking, were you a late bloom? Is that what it was? Like, when did you feel like, when you click, you're like, yeah, it clicked. I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
What year was that? With the Knicks?
Well, when I first went with San Antonio, that I knew that I can play at that level. Because during the summertime, I would play against pro players.
John, you could have easily given up. Because your story is the impossible to be possible. What would you tell kids out there, what you went through? Let's say there's kids right now, they're in their youth, 12, 13-year-olds, and they get to high school. How hard would you tell a kid, hey, this is what you got to do to get to the league? What would you say to kids out there?
Well, foremost, I would tell them just keep a positive attitude and continue to work hard. Yeah, because I used to, even though I wasn't playing, I used to be on the court 5-6 hours, out the day. And I would tell them to make sure you work on all your weaknesses, whatever that may be. I didn't have a strong left hand, and so I could remember back in the day when Philadelphia and Boston used to come on, Boston and somebody playing, or Philadelphia and somebody, LA and somebody. But Red Auerbach used to do these little teaching clinics, and I can remember him talking about that. Work on your weakest part of your game.
So my friend Jerry Ferrara, the character Turtle from Entourage.
Yeah, no Jerry.
I texted him and I said, I'm going to be interviewing you. And he told me, I asked him if you have any questions. And he said, who is the toughest Knick that you played with?
Toughest? Charles Oakley.
Yeah, I was guessing that. Oakley or Mason.
Yeah. Charles Oakley. Oakley was hard-nosed, you know what I mean? He was the guy who had your back at all times. He allowed me to stick my chest out against big guys because I always knew that he had my back, him, Mace, and Patrick. And
the creator of Entourage, Doug Ellen, he asked, hey, I love John, but can he still play? Because the Knicks really need you right now. So
no, I can't play.
Okay. You heard that, right? What are you doing now, John? Yeah. Right after you retired from basketball, what did you do?
Well, I went back to Oklahoma for about 2 years, but I did some coaching up here in the Westchester area, the USBL, Westchester Wildfire, just to try my hand at it and see if I liked it or not. The first year was great. The second year wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. But I appreciate coaches even more now, what they have to go through and what they have to deal with players. I can remember telling Jeff and Coach Riley, I apologize, right. Because guys are hard-headed, and especially at that level, because guys think they know more than what they do, and you're trying to teach them and help them out as much as possible to try to get to the next level. And those that listen got an opportunity to try out, and those that didn't continue to play in the minor leagues. And so I did that for a couple of years. Then back in 2004, the Knicks came calling, asked me would I come and take over the role that the great Willis Reed had, being alumni relations. And so that's what I'm currently doing right now for the Knicks organization, alumni relations advisor.
And also you have I just read this the other day. You and Anthony Mason,
Yeah.
Pizzeria. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, it's opportunity came about. A guy approached me about doing this concept of pizza in 2 minutes. I'm like, pizza in 2 minutes, okay? And because he was telling me that LeBron James invested in a same concept called Blaze out in California area, and I like, you know what, this might work, especially here in New York, because pizza is like the food of choice, especially when you're on the go. And so I said, you know what, Mace, what you think? He said, and Mace is a New Yorker. He said it'd be great because everything is fast paced here. You want it quick, so you can get it in and get it out the door. And we feel like that is going to be a great success here in the New York area. Our first one, well, actually we have one opened up in D.C., but the first one here in New York is going to be on 123rd and Frederick Douglass up in Harlem, counter corner from Magic Johnson Theater.
And John, let's talk about this place, all right? This place off the hook, right, India? I mean, this is actually Stanford Cigar Lounge.
Yeah.
Okay? Talk to me about this place.
Well,
in Connecticut.
In
Stanford,
Connecticut. Yes.
Actually,
Stanford,
the WWE building right behind us,
yeah,
right?
not too far. No, I got involved in cigars. Well, I started smoking cigars, I should say, back in 2000, at the end of my career. But I was doing during the summertime. On the golf course, I started picking up golf, and I used to get like crazy out there on the golf course. And so a friend of mine said, "Why don't you try a cigar and relax?" And I started smoking a cigar and it relaxed me. And so I've been smoking them ever since. It gave me a chance to just settle down and kind of think a little bit. And a friend of mine was doing some charity work over. He's my business partner now. Doing some charity work over in Dominican Republic, and asked would I come over there and do a basketball clinic for him. And I said, sure. I know they had some great golf over there, so I always wanted to go over there. And went over there, and and I explained to him. I said, man, we in the heart of tobacco fields over here. I got to go to a tobacco plant, a cigar plant. Always looking for opportunities. And his cousin was a master roller over there, and he said that he had his eye on this plant that just closed. Everything intact, rolling machines, everything intact. And so we kind of got started. We looked at the numbers, and everything seemed pretty good. And we kind of got started back in 2000, I want to say 2007.
So is that it, what you're doing right now? Well, all the stuff that you just listed, or is there more?
No, it's more.
Okay, let's keep the water running. Go ahead. Talk to me.
Well, I have a clothing line called Zipway. We have a patent technology to transition in and out your pants using zippers instead of buttons. We started this back in 2007, and so this is some of the stuff that I have on right now. But we feel like this is going to be the future, and we feel like, that to be able to transition out your pants real quick, unlike the buttons where you have a lot of flaws in the buttons. And I'm not sure if you ever had breakaway pants, but you have the air pockets that up here in the Northeast, you can't wear them year round.
Right.
Here with our zipper, you can wear the product year round because you have no air flow through and during the winter months, and during the summer months you can unzip them and you get the airflow if you want them. But we do hospital scrubs, which what's going on right now with Mercer and stuff. A lot of nurses and doctors and what have you, healthcare workers, are catching Mercer off their scrubs. And a lot of it is due to the way they take them off. And a lot of them have to pull it over their head, and they have to literally push, take them off like you do regular pants. With ours, you just zip out of everything. You just take it, bam, bam, and
so
everything
just like
coming off.
You're warming, like when you're on the bench chilling with it, right? And
you just take them
right
right off. And you don't have the flaws that you have where you normally see a player walking up to the thing and all of a sudden he popping off and one button stays. He had to reach down and put his eyes. Don't do that. It just zips right off, and it's easy to zip right back on.
Me and India, we were talking about it earlier driving as far as a financial advisor. I think the number one financial advisor is you.
Yeah.
Whoever's making money. Do you agree with that?
I agree with you 100%. You know, you really have to, like I say, be tuned in on what's going on because majority of athletes, you know, grow up without money. And when they get a lot of money, they don't know exactly what to do with it. And so they put their trust in other people to make the decision for them. I would suggest to a lot of them, you know, if you can't trust anybody, don't do anything. You know, just wait till after your playing career is over. And you can talk to a lot of them now. They say, if I knew what I know now,
Right. Yeah.
you know what I mean? And because they have time after their playing days are over with to get involved in business and they can see it then. You know, during your playing days, you so caught up in basketball, doing this winning games and what have you, you're not paying attention on the financial side of things. And so, but a lot of them is learning. A lot of them is learning. You know, you got stories out there that you can learn from.
If there was a movie about you, there's a biography about John Starks from childhood till now, what actor would you hire to play you?
Oh man.
The one that you relate to, you're like, yeah, this guy's me.
Oh man.
And if it's too tough a question, don't worry about it.
It is tough question. I can't think of one that's out there. I would have to play myself, I guess.
All right, that'll work.